Hello YouTube, my name is Happiness and welcome to my channel. Recently in the news, the president of USAid, President Trump, cancelled USAid to South Africa because of what he calls bad things are happening in South Africa, whereby the leadership is running the country in a bad way. He mentioned this topic of land taken from a certain minority group, which he refers to as white people in South Africa, including Pretoria white farmers. I know why he would include Pretoria, or maybe he was convinced by Elon Musk, as rumors go. But the land reform topic was always on Trump radar since his first term in office. He opened the US border to white Afrikaners. I don't know if he assumes if our government is taking white-owned land to which was forcefully taken from by black natives, if he would give the white Afrikaner land in the USA. Okay, let's look through this summary of land reform in South Africa, which Cyril Ramaphosa signed recently. The historical contents of land reform in South Africa. The need for the current land reform program arose through the racially discriminatory law and practice which were in place in the largest part of the 20th century, especially those related to land ownership. The application of these discriminatory laws and practice resulted in extreme inequality in relation to land ownership and land use. This article provides the overall of the most prominent legislation which provides the framework of the policy of racially based territorial segregation. It further discusses the legislative measures and policies which were instituted during the period of 1991 and 1997 aimed to abolish racially based laws and practices relating to land, and which eventually provided the basis to the current land reform program. The most prominent instrument used by the apartheid regime to establish and enforce its policy of racial segregation was legislative intervention. This article highlighted a number of most significant legislative measures put in place to limit the black majority ownership of land, especially agricultural land. Through its limitation and land ownership, the then government confined the majority of the population to a few homelands in which ownership was permitted. The result of these measures is that South Africa currently is extremely skewed land ownership and land use pattern, where historically disadvantaged South Africans do not own the majority of the productive agricultural land. This situation resulted in the need for a comprehensive land reform program as envisioned by the RDP and the White Paper, and eventually endorsed by the Constitution. Unfortunately, the land reform program had limited success, and further legislative intervention, such as forced expropriation, might become necessary. However, in order to enable forced expropriation and amendment to the constitution will be required, and it remains to be seen whether the current regime will choose to change the constitutionally protected property clause, the clause that was central to the negotiation that leads to the current political dissension. Okay, so in terms of this being the topic of this land reform, I would like to mention the fact that in South Africa at the moment, yes, it is true that majority of land is owned by white minority group, but when you would look at it, is that majority of that land is unoccupied. So what is the point of one person owning a large sum of land and it is not in use? So I do support this law whereby they would take that portion of land to which is unoccupied and to be used for the economy, because eventually if there is a land that is unoccupied and is not productive, so what means does it contribute to the economy of the country? So I would say that I do agree with the president signing it, and it doesn't mainly target white farmers or the white minority group, but mostly it would only focus on looking at land to which requires to be used for certain agricultural activities, you see. So I mean, like, and also going to, I would mention when we looking at the Gauteng problems, looking at the area in Joburg, you find that there is some also unoccupied areas to which it would be a potential area for housing, but because of that area is owned by one person or one minority group, or let me just put it like this, it's owned by one individual and it is unoccupied, it would be useful for development or anything that would go to it helping the economy or helping with housing. So, but in terms of this topic of land reform, yes, I do believe the president did the right thing. The president of South Africa did the right thing, because in South Africa you would see it as that there is inequality and things have to change, because it's been a long time. And remember, in the first place, these people, us as Black South Africa, we were forcibly removed. So the best thing is for things to go in a different direction, rather than things to keep on going in the direction that it's going to. But also looking at that, hoping that the government of South Africa does also focus and also try to focus on doing the right thing and not use the land for its own benefit, but for the benefit of the community, because eventually at the end of the day, we as a nation should empower one another and promote economic growth. Okay, thank you for listening to this topic in terms of land reform and trying to understand the situation that is happening in South Africa. Also, like this content and subscribe to my channel.